live on Aero-TV. I'm Tom Patton, and I'm chatting now with Mike Uleski from DARTdrones. And Mike, I understand that you're in the business of teaching people involved in public safety how to get better use out of the aircraft that they're buying now, just a lot of good training. Tell us about how you got into this business.
I started in aviation when I was 17, got my private pilot's license, went to Embry-Riddle, decided I was going to be a commercial pilot. Sadly, the industry definitely changed, so I got into the engineering side. I was engineering aircraft parts for mostly general aviation, business aviation. Sadly, company closed in 2008, so I made a career change, went into public safety. I started as a police officer, and then the agency that I work for is actually a true public safety, so they sent me to fire school and EMS school, so now I'm cross-certified as police. I'm a sergeant shift supervisor, and then I'm also a firefighter, and then on top of that, an EMT. So the nice thing is, especially working into the UAV world, is that I've got all three of those backgrounds. So for training, police departments is different than what you would train a fire department, is what you would train someone that's using it for EMS and search and rescue. So I'm able to see a few different faucets rather than just one single one. What
is the kind of the inroads that UAVs are making into the public safety arena? Is it becoming a far more common thing to have a police department or a fire department have an aircraft like this?
Getting more common, but it's still there's roughly 18,000 police agencies across the United States. 800 of them have manned aviation units. That's it. So it's about 4% roughly. So it's relatively low. The problem is that a lot of the agencies that don't have any background in aviation, when they start looking into utilizing UAVs and they start seeing FAA regulations and state regulations and everything else and training, they get a little bit bogged down. So we see a lot of them kind of stall. So that's where we're trying to step in and provide that intermediary, because a lot of them want to go and purchase and then go straight to operations. They're missing that training component, and that's why we're seeing them getting crashed into vehicles, and usually the program fails. So what we're trying to do is provide that training program and standard operating procedures so that they get that clear cut, this is what you need to do to get your program up and running, and then also offer the continued training support down the road so that way they can add new certifications. So our basic course is going to get them up and running, but then we're also offering night operations, because night operations is a completely different world, but for public safety, that's our bread and butter. That's most of our day. So we're going to be offering the advanced stuff as well, so that way once they get the basic down, now we can take them out into the field and start working on those advanced programs once they get that experience. So eventually we're looking at where it would be almost a certification program, where they would actually have to take my guys will have about 12 hours of stick time and have to take a certification test prior to being released authorized, because I'm the chief UAS pilot for my agency that I created, our division. And it's liability. We got to get the people trained rather than just throwing them out there with, hey, it goes up in the air, congratulations, good luck.
Is there partly a perception that, and the aircraft have been marketed this way, particularly at the $1,000, $1,500 end of the spectrum, that they're just easy to fly, and so they feel like they can go out and, okay, there it is, push the button, it syncs up and off it goes, and they don't really understand what it takes to control an aircraft?
Definitely, and especially when you start trying to explain to them that you need to now understand that the FAA considers you an aircraft and they consider you a pilot, and all the responsibilities and roles that go along with that are now included. It's not go to Best Buy, buy your Phantom 3, put it up in the air and start doing search and rescue work. There's a lot that goes into it, and especially with public safety, unlike some of the other industries where you can kind of pick your day and you can pick your time and the weather's nice and okay, it's raining out, we're not going to go. We don't have that option. We have to fly, because when we're looking at life safety issues, so you're looking at maybe higher wind conditions than what a commercial UAV pilot would be comfortable with, but when it comes down to life safety, we don't have that choice. But we have to make sure that we have the training and can mitigate the safety issues that comes along with it. So even like night operations, it has a higher level of risk. That's our goal, is to go and provide the training that goes and covers that, so that they understand what happens if you lose video feed at night. Can you recover the aircraft? What happens if you lose GPS? Can you bring it back? So then that way it's not necessarily training people for when everything goes right, it's training for people when they're going wrong. So,
are you finding that law enforcement and public safety agencies are buying the consumer grade drones, or are they moving more towards the larger, more expensive aircraft like we're seeing a lot of here at this show that would require that additional training?
Right now they're looking at small scale, primarily because they're dipping their toe in the water. They want to see what can this do for us. So typically we're seeing agencies pick up Phantoms, Inspires, even the Mavic is becoming quite popular, primarily because it's an off-the-shelf, it's a commercial product, it has good customer support, and it does what they need it to do. The higher stuff, when you start getting into the Matrice platform, mostly that's going to be your larger agencies and also ones that can get a grant. Because when you start talking, when you go to finance and you tell them, hey, this thing's $25,000 and we could crash it next week, finance is like, why don't you buy this $1,000 one and see how it goes?
See if you really need it.
And then we'll go from there. But the thing is, even the Inspire One, it's a workhorse platform. Ours, where I work, it's equipped with a payload delivery device because my agency is Daytona Beach Shores. We're right along the boat, the beach side. And we work with beach patrol, so we're looking to be able to utilize it for water rescue. So that way, not only can we find a victim, but we can also deliver a life preserver to them until beach patrol is able to launch a jet ski. So we're looking at those life safety issues. And the Inspire One, it's a $1,900 out-of-the-box unit that's capable of doing that. And the maintenance is extremely low. Dollars per hour is extremely low. Why not have it? It's just a matter of the training to have a pilot that's actually capable of utilizing it. Now,
you mentioned at the beginning of the segment that there's different training that's required for a fire department or a police department or an SAR situation. What are some of those differences in the training?
Some of the big differences, especially in the law enforcement world, is we deal a lot more with the legislation that's come out across either state or city. So it can be kind of a patchwork because certain cities with the privacy concerns have come out, and it's definitely gone to the point where you have to be careful because you may be violating constitutional law by capturing images depending on how the statute went. The fire side, for the most part, it's mostly intelligence gathering for the fire. But what we've also seen is it's almost kind of a cross because when I'm on a police scene, staffing's relatively tough right now in the law enforcement industry. So when we have a perimeter set up, I don't necessarily want to lose a police officer to operate the UAV because now he's out. And if it's nighttime, I still lose a visual observer. So if I only have a shift of 4, I've just lost 2. What we're seeing is that a lot of times when the police department works very well with the fire department is that we'll cross-train, so then that way when we have a police incident, we can have the fire department respond and operate the drone. We're not losing a police element. And then on the flip side, when we have a structure fire type incident, I can train that police officer to get the intel that command officer needs to know what decisions, is the roof going to collapse at this point? And then the fire department doesn't lose a firefighter that they need for the structural component of fighting the fire. So they are different because in a fire, I need to know where can I operate safely because now you have updrafts and downdrafts because of the fire conditions. You have smoke plume. If it's wildfire, it could be distance. So there are differences between the two, but you want to also cross-train. So it's still public safety, but there are elements that are a little bit different between the two.
How difficult is it for your company to keep up with, you mentioned the state laws and even local jurisdictions where there are requirements for warrants and things of that nature before a law enforcement entity can go out and use its aircraft to gather evidence?
It's mostly research. We go to the agency when we do our public safety training. We don't have them come to us, primarily because then I can go and evaluate what airspace they're dealing with, what authorizations are they going to need, should they go the COA route or the 107 route, what works for them. But on top of it, I also go and do a real quick research of what state laws, because in Florida we happen to have the Unwarranted Surveillance Act that we have to deal with. So Florida's a little different. Some states we go to and it's open season. You could use it for just about anything. I just put in a little bit of time to make sure that I know what laws are currently, and then I also let them know what's coming up, because that very well may go and influence your buying decision, because if you purchase this thing this month and then the laws completely change next month, your program might be out of service before you even got it up and running.
Do you ever see a time when that might have a more federal umbrella for what can be done by local law enforcement agencies, or is that always going to be a state-by-state and even local jurisdiction decision?
I think it's going to take a while because it seems like the locals like to have control, primarily because depending on how the feeling is of the people that live in that community, It's gotten better. My community, I flew for Hurricane Matthew. 2 days after Hurricane Matthew, I was doing building inspections and damage survey. Building department loved it, but on top of it, we evacuated the beach side. So no one was allowed on the beach side until we cleared it. So the residents were all very concerned. They couldn't see what was going on. What we did was I produced a short little 5-minute video we put up on our agency's Facebook page, and it went absolutely viral because then people were able to see what got damaged, what didn't get damaged. It's more, you have to cultivate that within your community of the acceptance, and then you don't have those issues. It's when you have that kind of fear. So I try to tell the agencies, don't create your UAV program in the dark. Involve your citizens, involve your community policing individuals who go out to events. Take the drone out, fly it, show it what it can capably do. Because a lot of people, they think that it's got X-ray vision, it's looking through walls, it's going to be hovering through my window. And then when they see the reality of it and they start to see what the benefits are towards the public safety side, you usually get a lot more freedom out of it. And they're like, oh yeah, we support that program. And now you've shifted. So my jurisdiction where I work, the people love it because they've seen what we can do with it and they know we're using it responsibly.
Do you see that the drone is going to supplant, in many cases, the manned aviation departments of law enforcement agencies, or create a situation where a lot more law enforcement agencies can have an aviation presence?
I would like to see within 2 to 5 years the majority of law enforcement agencies having at least one UAV available with one trained pilot. Because the advantages that it gives, even for something as simple, how many times I've had to go up on roofs searching for evidence, and we usually have to call the fire truck to come out, pull up the ladder and crawl up on the roof. Why not have a DJI Mavic that can go up and do a real quick scan, see what's up? It saves me time, it saves me effort, it's safer. But I mean, like I was saying, even for active shooter situations, I'm looking at big box store with an active shooter. Why not send in a UAV in front of your entry team and be able to at least provide them intel of, is aisle 6 clear? Can I send them there without being ambushed? Because it's become a very big fear of ours from law enforcement, because we've seen recently ambush tactics have become very common. So it's that intelligence is just absolutely paramount to what we do, and it creates such a more safe environment for us to operate. We're
just about out of time, but I do want to give you an opportunity because I know you're doing some training demonstrations here at Exponential. So talk about that just briefly.
Here we're going to be, if you visit our table over at 2:30, basically we have an outline of what we're doing, and it shows our 3-day program, which is what I've developed, and it's a good balance. And what it's designed to do is take people from zero experience, absolutely none, to where they're put into a team on day 2, so they're a visual observer and they're a pilot, and they go back and forth to actually doing a scenario search and rescue at the end. So we have some examples over there if anyone's interested and wants to come over and see what we're up to.
Okay, Mike, well great, thanks very much. We appreciate taking some time. It's still early, I'm getting my mouth going here this morning, but very interesting stuff, and it really shows kind of part of what the power of these aircraft are and how they can be used in everyday situations. So we appreciate what you do. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
That's Mike Uleski with DARTdrones.
Aero-News Network's coverage of the Association for Unmanned Vehicle Systems International's Exponential 2017, live from Dallas, Texas, is brought to you in part by the following sponsors. Continental Motors Group. Manned and unmanned, Continental has been a pivotal part of aviation and aerospace history and wants to be a part of your mission. Gas or diesel, certified or experimental, Continental is investing in your future. www.continentalmotors.aero.
Let Patrick Neal & Associates provide the legal expertise needed to navigate the commercial UAS industry. Whether it be waivers, exemptions, operational plans, or other issues, we can provide the guidance you need to keep flying and building your successful UAS operation. www.droneattorneys.us
In collaboration with NASC, introducing Sonix Aerospace, bringing you the Taros Group 4 UAS, the redesigned Tiger Shark Block 4, and the Subsonics Twin Jet UAS, all derived from flight-proven manned systems, not concepts, real aircraft. More at sonixaerospace.com.